Stanley Kubrick was an avid chess player, and while chess makes its way into several of his films, nowhere is this passion more central to the theme of his work than in his third feature film, The Killing, released in 1956. It's a hard-boiled film noir which tells the story of a career criminal played by Sterling Hayden, who, fresh out of prison, plans to rob a racetrack as one final heist to make enough money to settle down, get married, and give up his life of crime. Though the film lacks the iconic Kubrick style which would come to define later Kubrick films, the themes of power, control, and helplessness are front and center. The men involved in the heist are trying to gain control of their lives. They're not just trying to get rich. One man wants to get free of debt that he owes to a mobster. Another wants to get medical help for his wife. Yet another wants to gain respect from his wife in the first place. When it comes to the mastermind Johnny Clay, he simply wants to get free from his former life. If there is any theme of transformation in the film, of losing one's identity, it is this ambiguous, ever-changing relationship of the individual as an economic being, or a being with a body subject to illness, or a social being capable of the intimate vulnerability of marriage, and a being capable of varying degrees of individuality within a broader society. These themes might not be all that extraordinary were it not for this scene in An Academy of Chess and Checkers, where Johnny Clay's philosophical friend Maurice comments on the way societies punish criminals by saying,
"You have not yet learned that in this life you have to be like everyone else, the perfect mediocrity, no better, no worse. Individuality is a monster and it must be strangled in its cradle to make our friends feel comfortable. You know, I often thought that the gangster and the artist are the same in the eyes of the masses. They are admired and hero worshipped, but there is always present underlying wish to see them destroyed at the peak of their glory."
In a sense, Johnny Clay wants to become normal. He wants to have an ordinary, peaceful life. But at the same time, it seems he doesn't want to destroy the individuality which he has been cultivating over his life of crime, as he paradoxically tries to achieve his normal life through this racetrack heist. By donning the clown mask, Johnny Clay both asserts his individuality by expressing his difference from other people, as the clown with its makeup and comical violation of social conventions is the very symbol of distinctiveness, but in doing so he also erases his identity, hiding his true face, which makes him distinct from other mask wearers, with their various Jungian personae. Here we have an early appearance of the Kubrickian duality of man, a protagonist with two faces, a criminal who wants to be a peaceful citizen, still acting as a criminal. And just as Maurice says, there is a desire to see these monsters destroyed. So all of the forces of society, fate, and coincidence conspire against Johnny Clay, like a battering tide, to shatter his individuality. While the heist seems at first to be successful, in the end it all succumbs to disaster. All of his accomplices end up dead. In a sense, they were merely the proverbial pawns in Johnny Clay's plan. While Johnny Clay didn't necessarily plan on sacrificing them, they were nevertheless dispensable. There's a possibility that he might still get away with the money, and for a moment it seems like he will. He rushes to the airport to meet with his fiancée, and in a final assertion of control, he calls her his wife, willing his life to be changed already, even though it's not. Despite his efforts, the world will not conform to him. The airport clerk won't allow him to take his large suitcase of money on the plane as a carry-on. He protests, but seeing that it is hopeless, he gives in. As the suitcase is being taken to the plane, a dog rushes out, the driver swerves, and the money is sent flying, in a way that is almost reminiscent of a tornadic natural disaster. Johnny Clay has been ruined by forces outside his control. Maybe if he anticipated these events, he could have changed them, but it's no use now. Just like the man at the chess academy who didn't consider every possible move he or his opponent might make, Johnny Clay ultimately loses the match of the heist because of moves he did not, or perhaps could not, have foreseen. As the police are notified of the tornado of money on the tarmac, Johnny Clay's fiancée tells him to run, but he responds,
What's the difference?
True to his name, Johnny is a lump of clay, formed by the forces of society and of random happenstance. He wouldn't destroy his individuality by resisting the call of crime, so society will destroy his individuality with prison. This is the kind of attitude which pervades almost all of Kubrick's films, but especially his earlier films, which, with the possible exception of 2001, have decidedly pessimistic endings. Kubrick gives us characters struggling in vain against the inevitable, or against forces too powerful to overcome, or against randomness that no one has any control over, leaving us in the end to ask, what's the difference? What's the use of making any efforts in the first place? In the end, it would have turned out the same way. Like the players in the chess academy, we are left arguing over whether there really was another move we could have made that might have led to a different outcome. Chess will also make an appearance in Lolita, and of course in 2001, where Frank Poole is unable to beat Hal in chess. Some have even pointed out that the floor during the court-martial in Paths of Glory is reminiscent of a chessboard, a similarity that was unlikely to escape Kubrick's careful eye. In The Killing, if the game of chess is used to symbolize the heist, then the heist itself symbolizes the inscrutable mysteries of the universe, and being a human in it. To quote the philosophical Maurice once more, when the clerk at the chess club asks him what he's doing, Maurice responds,
There are some things, my dear Fisher, which do not bear much looking into. You have undoubtedly heard of the Siberian godheader who tried to discover the true nature of the sun. He stared up at the heavenly body until it made him blind. There are many things of this sort, including love and death, and my business for today. Please remember to make that call if I'm not back at 6.
The heist, the events of that day, are like the most inscrutable mysteries of the universe. If you think about them or look into them too long, you'll harm yourself. This is a device which I call symbolic telescoping, and it's something that we'll encounter again in the last of Kubrick's films, Eyes Wide Shut. Both films, I believe, take seemingly mundane problems or events, relatively speaking, and telescopes the problem out into a broader series of events which, whether they happen in real life or are merely symbolic dream events, carry some metaphysical or mythical significance pertaining to the first situation. Here, the heist is a microcosm of Johnny Clay's desire to change his entire life. It's his attempt to gain control in society, writ small. And the heist with its failure is also a microcosm of life in a seemingly deterministic universe. We try to control our lives, and sometimes we succeed and sometimes we don't. Trying to delve too deeply into questions of causality, free will, and control will only blind us, which is why such investigations, on the popular level, seem to devolve into low-resolution, unsubstantial, shallow platitudes on either side. And even the most sophisticated dissertations can scarcely ring true to the sharpness and fullness of our human experience. Appropriately, Kubrick himself, if we dare call him a philosopher, gives us no answers, but only a question. What's the difference? And as an artist, he gives us artistic artifacts, stories and moving images that wrestle with this very question. Some are dreadfully pessimistic, while others, I believe, dare to be audaciously optimistic.